Hey folks, Robert BobbyGitr Hansen here.
And the Mrs. Brandy, Hot Peppa Mama Hansen.
Here with round 2 coverage of the 2019
BobbyGitr Bracket Bonanza.
Held in March of last year. That was me off the tee. Dwight Powell stepping up. This was a match play event, 1-on-1. So this card you'll see me playing against Dwight Powell. And then you will also see CJ Zobell against Brandon Pyell. Brandon, the Appeal Peel, sponsored by Team BobbyGitr Peppers and Discs. CJ
Spicy.
stepping up. He's taking this hyzer line down the right side. This round is being played at Forrest Park in Bloomington, Illinois. Brandy, what can you tell me about Forrest?
Well, I really like Forrest. We have 3 local courses here, if you don't include the Highland Temp course that goes up once a year for the BN Open. But I really like this course because it's shady, which gives you kind of relief from the heat in the summer months when most people are out there playing. But it's also my favorite because it's probably the most technical of the 3 courses. It's not open. You have a lot of different... Oh, look at that shot. That was a good bit. You have a lot of things you kind of got to get around. There's a lot more obstacles and things that look easy but
Good
really aren't.
CJ.
Yeah.
Outside the circle, right?
All right. For anyone who has watched round 1 of the BobbyGitr Bracket Bonanza, you've seen that my putting was not fantastic today. Let me spoil it for you. The great putting does not continue.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Because I continue not putting great. Right, pal. You know he wants this one to start out. So match play, if you're unfamiliar, it's scored player against player. Whoever wins the hole gets a point. You win the hole by finishing in the fewest number of strokes. So Dwight just finished in 3. This is for my 3.
Oh, you're right.
Like I said, round 1 woes continued in round 2. So with that missed putt from me, Dwight Powell will take a point. Brandon and CJ both tied on that hole, so they will push.
Now, it's worth mentioning that these courses, both PJ and Forrest, are 18-hole courses, but they're done in the style of having, a gold and silver basket, so you can play a variety of ways.
And by 18-hole, you mean 9. As Brandon almost throws it in.
That's why they call him the Appeal, because his play is so appealing.
Dwight with the flick line. It's a pretty common throw on this hole. Hole 2 at Forrest is about 200-plus foot left to right. There is a tree you have to get around, but generally speaking, if you throw a forehand on here and cut around the corner, you end up pretty close.
Now, there is another route you can take. Sometimes I take this route. Not necessarily on purpose, but you can go through the trees if you hang it to the right a little more, come up and over the bushes that are there, and then kind of drop down by that hole. So.
For sure. Possibly for that player that doesn't have a forehand or putter Annie, then yeah, certainly just crashing it through those trees. It's a short hole. Even if you hit the trees, you should have a way to pitch up and get your par. As Brandon is looking to get his 2.
There we go.
That'll be quickly a putt. That'll be a point for Brandon. You'll see a CTP mark there on the ground. There were actually chocolate chip cookie CTPs on many of the holes, so all of our players were trying to win those for sure.
I remember that. I believe those were famously made by Ripley Hansen.
A wonderful chocolate chip cookie cook.
The best.
In our household. Alright, hole 3 is a much more technical hole. As Dwight is ripping it, I'm guessing that's it's either an end of a putter or a Discraft mid, like a zone or maybe a AVR.
Well, luckily we were here late enough in the year, even though it was early, that we didn't catch any of the mud. This place tends to get very slippery very quickly if there's any kind of moisture on the ground, as you can kind of see around there. And there is a creek directly behind the basket, so you want to avoid going too long.
Speaking of, it looks like there's a chance I got at least close to it. Brandon, of course, being the lefty.
Yeah, he has a bit of an advantage here.
With the super technical putter Annie. Makes it look super easy when it's probably the most difficult shot for a lefty on the entire course. CJ's just looking to flex something straight down there. And that was pretty good.
Very nice. Definitely right in the circle. There is a it's difficult to see from there, but there is a branch that goes, and it hangs, right about the 6 foot.
Alright, so Dwight got himself into a little bit of trouble off the tee. You get really pinched off over on that side, so he's just trying to get some kind of skipper over.
See, there's that.
And that worked out fantastically. But yeah, he's gonna have to duck.
Yeah, that's a problem with that. Is sometimes you have to duck if you're at just the wrong spot. It can be very difficult.
Good putt by CJ.
That was great. Yeah.
And Brandon also throwing it in.
Oh, did you stay fair on that one?
I actually did stay inbound. So this is for my 2 and for a point.
Oh, come on!
Oh! That one hurt your pride just watching.
That one hurt a little. Yeah, the putting was brutal. Some of it was the baskets. It was pretty cold this day. It was slightly windy. You can't tell by these flags. Over across the street, the rounds we played at PJ, it was a little windier.
Oh! Right there. That must have been a little bit of a relief for you there.
Well, it's not how you want to get a point, but I'll certainly take it. I felt like I deserved for that putt to stay in, so maybe it was karma. Unfortunately, neither Brandon nor CJ get a point after their great drives, as both of them tapped it in. Great throw by Brandon there.
Nice and easy. Get right up there, right of the tree, just hooks around very nicely and back behind the basket.
So there's basically 2 ways to attack this hole. A big left to right shot. You'll see me lining up the forehand here. A big putter or mid Anheuser works also. But there's also a tight little flex line off to the right that you saw CJ take. It's a little riskier, but you saw it worked pretty well for him. I like the forehand line just because it's safer. There's not nearly as many trees in the way.
That's true.
And I have hit the chains and the top of the basket a few times, so I'm going to keep taking it till I ace it.
Nick! You're just setting yourself up for a big putt.
That rolled to about 30 feet. Pretty good. That's well within Dwight's putting range. Dwight known to be quite the good putter locally.
He really is. He does have a very accurate putt, and he works really hard to maintain that.
Good putt, Dwight.
And there it goes in.
I was worried watching this. I couldn't remember if I made that one or not.
Well, that's another push for you.
But finally, that is a putt for me. Good putt by CJ. And that looks to me like a star frame, so no points awarded to anyone.
The fly's kind of like my green outlaws, though.
And this is 5. Now, this used to be which hole again?
Used to be hole 4. Not much has changed on the hole. There was a redesign of this course about 3 or 4 years ago now.
Yeah, and you can see there's also a Mando, I believe, up and to the right to kind of keep people out of that area near where the pavilion are.
Yeah.
Some people have a tendency to go out and hyzer over the road, but they have put the Mando in to keep people safer. And just
Yes,
avoid
there
that
definitely is an over-the-road route, and I definitely took it before there was a Mando.
I'm sure you're not the only one. Lining up his shot.
This is probably one of the tougher holes on the course to get the 2 cleanly, because there's such a low ceiling. you have to hit your line perfectly. And there certainly is a line. A good mid-range or fairway driver should get you there most of the time, or just be a lefty like Brandon.
Yes, be a lefty. If you take nothing else.
But if you miss your line at all, there's just a lot that can go wrong. Like, ooh, I almost spoke of the devil there.
He was really lucky on that one.
I think I was throwing a D-line tomb at this point. I had just put that in my bag, if I recall. That disc is not in my bag currently. I don't know if I even have that disc still. CJ throwing up here. I think that's probably either Caltrop or Slammer, maybe. I know he tends to have some softer discs in his bag to really get that stick, so he doesn't get too many big rollaways, so an upshot like that is no big deal for him.
But CJ's another one of those whose putting is pretty consistent, and there's reasons for that. One of those being his good disc choices.
Alright, as you can see, there's the flag was whipping straight at me, and anyone who plays with me knows I'm a bit of a nose-down putter. You get that headwind and a nose-down putt, and your putt will do exactly what you just saw, which looks like you're not trying to make it. Oh! Looks like that headwind got Brandon a little bit, too. That does go contradictory to what most people think about what a headwind does.
Nice putt, Dwight.
For sure, if you have a nose-up putt, a headwind will lift your disc and throw it over the top.
Especially because, like, oftentimes
I find more and more that it's about 50-50. You know, I think more if you're more of a spin putter, yeah, you probably get the nose up. But I know a lot of people who are push or spush putters who definitely have a bit more of a nose down putt, so that headwind's just going to slam you right in the dirt.
Now, hole 6 here can be a little deceiving as well. It looks like it should be a pretty easy shot, but you've really got to watch out for those extending branches out there.
We're playing to the silver here, though, which a lot of us just like to have a bunch of ace runs at. It's a good ace run hole. Just flick stuff at it, throw your putters at it. It's one of those holes that's just fun to throw your whole bag at and see if you can hit some chains.
Interesting choice for the forehand there. I wonder if he's just trying to get underneath that.
Oh, I take the forehand line most of the time. All you have to do is lay it out left and let it get just a little bit of skip towards the basket. Let's see if I end up doing exactly what I just said. Looks like I'm throwing my Legacy Pursuit here. And look at that. Skip it out left.
Look at this!
Oh, just a little bit too much mustard on that
I skipped it a little shorter than I really meant to, but that's basically what you want to do.
Yeah.
Outside, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes I watch things and I'm less of an experienced disc golfer than some people, but I always used to think, hey, was that just an accidental skip? But everything is intentional. For an aware disc golf player, they really know how to make those little things work for them.
I'm here with about a 22-footer. And I know Dwight's close, so I'm thinking this has got to go in.
And it does.
That was one of the best putts I'd made that day. I was also the TD for this tournament, so I didn't get much time to warm up or prepare. That's not an excuse.
It's just what it is.
It's just something I learned. Something I will make a note of is next time I TD, practice while you take money.
Now, is that pushes for both of them?
Yeah.
All right, nobody, any new points? Dwight's ahead with 2 to Robert's 1.
We are running out of holes here. This is a 9-hole course. It's not a full 18 holes. So the first player to 5 would win.
That's looking real good.
Oh, that is a great shot.
But with Dwight up by 1 with only 3 holes to go, I'm thinking I need to catch up and I need to pass him, and I only have a few holes to do it in.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
You're lucky it sat down there and didn't go straight to the right into that creek.
Hole 7 is probably the shortest hole on the course. No matter which tee pad or basket you're going for, it's all about 200 feet or less. But it is also probably the most technical hole on the course. It's super fun to play. Basically a putter ante line on the gold to silver like we're playing.
But you have to watch out for those trees.
Well, and if you hit them just wrong, you can kick straight into the creek.
Had that happen a time or two.
Yeah, it's fun.
You don't want to have to go swimming on a day like this.
Woo!
Ooh.
Good run by CJ. I got that way too high in the air. It's still close, but in the basket would have been better. Dwight. You know, it doesn't look like there's that much in his way, but I've been over there, and those are some tricky little sticks that block your putt way more than you'd think for the size of the bush.
Well, and sometimes they get caught on your hand or as your disc as you're coming up, and it's just enough to throw things off.
Ooh, good bid by Dwight for his 2.
Yeah. And even if it's not physically throwing off your game, sometimes it can get you mentally when you're in that rubbish over there. Taking his time.
Let's see if Brandon can wail on these chains.
Yes!
There it is.
Very nice.
Alright, so I need this to push with Dwight. And it's in and out. So with 2 holes left, Dwight takes a 2-stroke lead on me. Brandon is up by 2.
I don't know. I didn't pull it hard enough.
Elijah was doing a fine job on camera. That particular one, I have no idea where the disc went.
Looks like got a little lost in the gray of the sky there.
Special thanks to Elijah Miller for helping film on this. Special thanks to Bobby York for helping to film round 1 and I believe 4. Can't remember if he was still here at that point or not. This was more than a year ago.
Dude! So bad. You got.
And Dwight can also be a bit of a vocal player, as can I. But you can usually know how he feels about a shot he's had.
Yeah, right away.
So I'm thinking, I need this too. And I also had just gotten this disc, so there was a lot of trust in that throw. And that's me right there by the basket. That is a Infinite Discs Emperor I flicked. Shameless plug. Also the disc that Garrett Gerthy threw in a 400-foot albatross, if anybody saw that, in one of the few tournaments that happened this year.
Sally?
Woo!
Sally's.
Alright, so this is where Brandon ended up. After he might have hit the cameraman, I don't remember.
Oh, that was a great bid.
That's the thing. I've played with Brandon quite a few times. And you never know when he's going to just throw in from anywhere.
Come on.
It's kind of nice to have the unexpected possibility there. A little excitement of the game.
Infinite Discs Emperor.
Yes, there you
Shameless
go.
plug.
Alright. Going into the last hole, Brandon just beat CJ because there's only 1 hole left. So congratulations to Brandon for moving on to round 3. And if I can beat Dwight on this hole, we can go to a tiebreaker.
Now you see he tapped that little tree in the middle. That one's a bit of a devil.
Perfect, you're out there.
It can set you way off course.
I tell you what, if you remove the tiny little trees on this hole, it wouldn't really upset me that much. Dwight taking the forehand. I'm a fan of this line. It's harder to get all the way to the basket.
Once again, right on the back of that hole, there's that creek.
But I had to run this because I had to beat Dwight. And I will guarantee you that disc went all the way down into the creek.
me about it.
So, creek is OB. I would be laying 4 from there.
Nice and low.
Unless you somehow ended up on a
So
dry
here's
spot.
Dwight. This is a fantastic drive. Pitches up. Would have liked to had it a little closer, I'm sure. But there you have it. The win for Dwight Powell. Great round played by all. Dwight and Brandon move on to round 3. Unfortunately, our camera batteries died for round 3, so we won't have coverage of that. But then I showed my cameraman where the extra batteries were, so we do have coverage of round 4. So
Woohoo!
the final round will be coming out very soon. Stay tuned.